My name is Dr. Yap. I'm the anesthetist from UC Malaysia Sabah, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. Today I'm going to show you how parturition occurs during labor in a pregnant lady. All of us know that parturition is a process of childbirth. Okay? So usually childbirth will occur when the pregnancy is term. Usually a term pregnancy is defined at the weight of 37 to 42 weeks. Okay? So earlier than that, which is less than 37 weeks of pregnancy, if labor occurs, means it's called a preterm labor. And pregnancy which is more than 42 weeks is postnatal. Okay? So these are the definitions that we must know. For pregnancy to occur, the sperm has to meet the ovum. So when the ovum is being met by the sperm, so it will cause the fertilization. Okay? So when fertilization occurs during sexual intercourse, whereby it will further undergo mitosis and meiosis. Okay? And then it will form a zygote. A formed zygote will then undergo changes. It will form a what they call that trophoblast, which will then implant onto the uterus. Okay, so when a zygote has been implanted into the uterus, so it will then cause further physiological changes. Most important thing that you must understand is the corpus luteum. Okay. This corpus luteum, when it is being formed, okay, it will continuously secrete beta HCG. Okay, beta human chorionic gonadotrophy. Okay, so during the pregnancy stage, okay, this is the concentration of hormones. 0 week, first month, third month, 6th and the 9th month of pregnancy. You will see there's a surge in the beta HCG, and then after that you will progressively go down. Okay, it's the beta HCG. This is because it is maintained by the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum it will also secrete minimal amounts of estrogen and also progesterone. Okay, so when this also occurs, this is also maintain the pregnancy, but it's not as much. Okay, maintain. When you will go up during the term, you will have the spike. This is the estrogen level. Okay. And you will have also the progesterone. So the progesterone usually overtakes during the first, second, third trimester, but however, during term pregnancy at the 9th month, it will slowly go down. Okay, this is the progesterone hormone. Okay, so progesterone in blue, estrogen in green, beta HCG is being secreted by the corpus luteum. These are the most important things you should know for now. In the first trimester of pregnancy, during the first month or the 7th week, whereby the corpus luteum will begin its activity. So what happens further when the pregnancy progresses during this first, second, third, and towards the labor? Alright, so when the pregnancy continues, okay, so there is an active process of this activity by the placenta and also the ovaries. Okay, so these ovaries and placenta will actively secrete estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so these levels will continuously be increased during the pregnancy, and we must also remember that progesterone, the function is to inhibit the uterine contraction, okay, so that labor does not occur. Okay. However, estrogen will maintain the pregnancy so that there will be a possibility of the child progresses towards term. So when the child, when the fetus is being actively developing, so the brain and all the organs will start to mature. Okay, so maturation will fully mature depends on what the organs are. The heart, brain, and the kidneys. Okay, the fetus inside the mother's womb will start to develop at around 7th week and will slowly mature up to around 36 weeks. Same goes to the brain, which starts to occur at the 3rd week of pregnancy, okay, and it will fully mature until the child is being born at birth. Okay. So these are the things we should know by now when organs start to mature. When the organs start to mature, they will play their role in the physiological reaction of the fetus. Okay. So we also must remember that the fetus brain, when it starts to mature, it plays an important role in pregnancy as well. So the fetus brain, we have the hypothalamus and the posterior pituitary, or we have the pituitary gland. Okay, pituitary gland. Okay. So this orchestra plays a main orchestra in the secretion of multiple hormones or stress hormones when the child is going to be delivered at term. When the child or the fetus is under stress, means that the child wants to be born already, so there will be an active release of corticotropic releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, which will then stimulate the anterior pituitary gland to secrete ACTH. This ACTH will then affect on the adrenal gland of the fetus to secrete cortisol. So what's the function of this cortisol on pregnancy is that it will stimulate, okay, the release of prostaglandin. Okay. Prostaglandin will be released from the fetus. So this prostaglandin release will then stimulate the uterus, okay, the uterus and the cervix to progressively dilate, efface, and thinning. So this is a very important role of fetus in labor. Okay, so the fetus, when under stress, when the child is very big enough, when the fetus is big enough inside the uterine cavity, it pushes into the cervical, into the cervix, and also into the uterus. So it will cause a release of the CRH hormone, ACTH, and finally the cortisol, which will bind and increase the further release of prostaglandin. So this will cause increased uterine contraction, cervical dilatation, effacement, and thinning. And this is a positive feedback, whereby increase in this activity, including contraction of the uterus, will then cause much more release of cortisol from the fetus. Okay. So this will continue until the fetus is being expelled out from the uterine cavity via the vagina and the cervical canal. Okay. So these are the most important things that you should know when the pregnancy or labor occurs. So let me tell you further on what happens when the child is term and is ready to be expelled from the mother's womb. So this is the fetus lying inside the amniotic sac. Okay, this is the cervix and this is the lumbosacral spine. Okay, so because the fetus is fully developed and it's become heavier, it's bigger, so it becomes a gravitational push whereby the fetal weight will then descend further and cause the cervix to be stimulated. Once the cervix and the uterus has been stimulated because of the baby keep on pushing, so this will keep on increase the secretion of prostaglandin and also the release of the estrogen more than the progesterone. Okay, so with this will be an increased cervical dilatation, and then effacement, which will cause further thinning of the cervix and contraction of the uterus. Okay. So because of these things, and the progesterone is being inhibited already by the estrogen, so therefore the contraction will be more regular, increase in the intensity, and will be more painful. Okay. So with this, it's a positive feedback reaction. Okay, the positive feedback whereby this will then cause a further increase in this contraction and the effacement of the cervix. Also, you don't forget, which we mentioned earlier, there's the role of the cortisol. Okay, so once this cortisol will also contribute to the increased prostaglandin effect. That's number 2. Number 3, because of this estrogen effect, it will cause the oxytocin, okay, to be released from the mother's posterior pituitary gland. Okay, so this oxytocin will then cause a contraction, increased sensitivity of the uterus. Okay, so it will then bind into the uterus, whereby, and then it will increase the contraction. Okay, of the uterus. So this multiple hormonal interaction during labor, it will cause a multiple orchestra of events. Okay, so oxytocin being released by the posterior pituitary, the mother, and then effect on the uterus, and will cause an increase in the contractility and the intensity of this one. On top of that, because of this painful contraction, the mother will have more and more pain, and the pain from the mother will be from the T10 to L1 vertebra. T10 to L1 is the inferior hypogastric plexus. Okay, so plexus. Okay, so because of this pain receptors, okay, T10, thoracolumbar. So these are all sympathetic. Okay, sympathetic reflexes from the thoracolumbar region will cause increased pain, and all these receptors will be activated, and the mother will have to bear down in pain. Okay, so together the thoracolumbar 10, TN, and L1, okay, will cause an increase in the pain. So once the child, okay, or the fetus, and is progressively going down, bearing down, and then the cervical opening will start to open from small to become 3 centimeter, which we call it as active phase of labor. So when the uterus or when the cervix is not in the active phase, maybe it's just a small size, it's not open, but there's irregular contraction, so it's kind of latent phase of labor. This is called stage 1. However, when this come out and the patient's cervix progressively enlarged from 3 centimeter to a maximum of 10 centimeter, is fully dilated. Okay, so it's fully dilated, the active phase of labor, whereby I go to the second phase of labor, stage of labor, whereby the mother will have to bear down and expulse. Okay, and have to bring out the baby because of this contraction. So it means that the crowning has been seen, the fetal head has been seen by us. So it's about 10 centimeters large in diameter, and then the mother has to bear down and have to push out the baby into stage 2, whereby there's an expulsion of the fetus occur. Right? So how the expulsion occur? Because in addition to, you have the pudendal nerve. The pudendal nerves are S2 to S4. Okay, it sensitizes or it innervates the perineum. Okay, the perineum. So once the fetal head it touches the perineum floor, or the pelvic cavity, the S2 and S4 will be activated further. Alright, the nerves will be activated further, and it will cause a increase in the prostaglandin release, estrogen be released, oxytocin be released further, and it will cause more painful contraction, and the mother has to bear down further. Okay, so because of these things, the mother will have an increased stage of labor. So stage 1, latent phase, active phase starts from 3 cm dilated up to 10 cm. Once the child drownings in, expulsion of the fetus occur, and then we go to stage 3, whereby the placenta will be expulsed. Expulsion. Alright. So when the placenta has been expulsed, we have to slowly remove the check on the placenta cotyledon, make sure it's complete, and there is no retained placenta there. The cotyledons should be uniform, and if there is any remnants being held inside the uterus, we have to inform, and as this will cause increased hemorrhage and bleeding to the mother, and sometimes can lead to sepsis and septic shock. So I hope that this brief video will benefit you guys, and you understand further about physiology of parturition. Thank you very much.